deep breath in and gather all the energy from the bottoms of your feet. Go through your space and see yourself in a beautiful ball of light. It could be any color, but take it up to the sky and the universe. A series of white lights, dark lights, and golden light, all the way up through that jelly-like substance into that tingly white light. While you're there, say, Creator, thank you for my life. Take a deep breath in and open your eyes. Okay. It is early here in Hawaii. I almost said Montana. That's how early it is.
It's early here somewhere, wherever we actually are.
It is. But we've definitely made the decision to be here today because we absolutely love joining with all of you in connection. And that's the thing about decisions is, we are a collection of all of our decisions that we've ever made, whether it's high vibration, low vibration, whether it was something we loved, whether it's something we were taught. We are just a collection of them. And we have so many things that happen in our lives that can be chalked up to, why did I make that? Or I love that decision. And we have science and studies that say that 95% of most of our decisions is ran on our subconscious, which is so fun, right? And only that 5% is consciously aware of what's happening and going on all the time. That means when we have things that we actually are doing and we aren't liking it and we're triggered by it, it is picked up from times and places that we have done things, whatever level that is, maybe from your ancestors, and you're going, I know where that's coming from. It's coming from my ancestors. But why? And that's what I love about theta healing is it allows you to dig down and you get to find all the reasons of why. Why am I making this decision? And do I like keeping that decision?
Well, I think that one of the more interesting things about decision making is how much we make a decision and talk ourselves out of a decision, because whether we made it from subconscious information, we did something else, we're always looking to alter things in the decision making process, right?
Yeah.
We use things like the pressure of time and the pressure of outcome, and those things kind of start to pull away at how we make decisions, right?
Oh, sure.
And so many wonderful intuitives will make a decision and then talk themselves out of a decision, and then make the same decision and talk themselves out of the decision. And it's not unique to just intuitive people, but when you have intuition, so many paths available.
I mean, if we all have this experience, we can see many paths.
Yeah. There's this idea about kind of whether or not you're making the right one or the wrong one. And as you just mentioned there, like our decisions help make who we are, but we also define them as right or wrong instead of understanding the energy, connection to the moment, living in the moment, knowing that it was your moment, right? So the decision can be a signature of a moment.
It's true, but I mean, when your subconscious goes there, it doesn't know whether or not it's true or not. It's like, oh, this is true of how I want it to be and how I want it to turn out. It's like, it's just going through all the times and places that you've ever experienced things and going, well, that fits. Yeah, I've done that before. Let's just do that. Yeah, that's perfect. That resonates with me. Whether it does or it doesn't, or it fits into things that you're doing, knowing that you're in alignment makes a difference. That's how I feel.
I agree. Well, the thing is when you make a decision, right? When you put your energy into something, you're picking the path, and sometimes just the process of decision has us dividing our energy and moving in different directions. And when we listen to signs from our connection to ourselves and the world around us, and our connection to unconditional love, we start to understand this is what I'm supposed to do, or this. And we trained horses for a long time. Mm-hmm. And when we first started training, we had to go to this special inspection once a year. Yeah. And it was our first time going to this inspection. And when you show up, there's people who've been training the same breed for 20 years, 40 years. One of the people there, they're like the third generation of training that type of horse, right?
Yes.
And we show up and we have the alternative healing background, and we won't use any tools to make the horse do something. It's all about,
like whips or things that they actually use to make their horses do things that it's an easy way to do it with pressure.
yeah, we show up and it's late at night when we get there. Meet us at the gate. And we're exhausted, and the horses are big, and they're sort of pushing us around. We're tired. They're tired, and we didn't put on the very first, like, hey, we the way that we train and the way we connect to things. We didn't put off the energy, like, all right, we got this, and this is something that we're good at, and you should maybe consider thinking about how the energy you treat horses and what you're asking them to do. It should be cohesion. It should be a cooperation, right? In fact, the first night, the horse just plowed through us and was eating her food. Like, she was tired and hungry. She was going to eat, and so by the second day we get there, and some people had come with us from home, and everybody around us is running around doing all these different things.
And they look frantic, and they look like they are really worried about everything, and the pressure is really getting to them, and they're succumbing to it a lot. And we're just kind of just hanging out, looking at the horse, making sure she's good. Not really succumbing to it. We just kind of are relaxed.
And one of the people we're with is looking around and watching what everybody else is doing. And as they're watching what everybody else is doing with some of the same decisions, they're like, hey, they have this. Should we do this? Hey, we have this. Should we do this? And the list just keeps going. It was like every 2 seconds, it was like, we've made the decisions we've made already. We can't go back and say we're going to add these things at the very last second right now. It will cause us to go into chaos. And if we go into chaos, it's going to have a trickle down effect. Right? We made a decision. We were going to do it this way. Let's trust our intuition and trust that decision, trust why we did it. And oftentimes the universe will give you signals of trust, that will give you information. And once that decision gets made, we start over questioning, we start redoing things. And it doesn't take us very long to understand that part of having a very successful, energetic path is staying on your path, staying on your decisions, and knowing what type of decision you make. So at the end of it, we ended up having a great day. We ended up having a great run of years there, because the horse loved what they were doing, and they showed up and did what they loved for us at the right time, just out of love. And that was our approach. It was like, we don't need frills. We don't need all these other things. We just need that extra vibration of understanding. And they'll show up for us if we show up for them. And it worked out very, very well. But in that moment, we could have thrown in other decision-making things, and we were controlling the energy of the moment. We had chaos. We had fear. We had all these things going on around us, and we had to focus in and go, that's not the energy we created with. That's not the energy we made a decision with. These are outside pressures. How do we separate?
And of course, that decision making comes down to how each individual deals with pressure. If each individual, like the ones that we took with us, were, not there, we would have been just doing the exact same thing, but whether we were with them or not. So it helps you to understand that how you deal with pressure in a high stakes moment, to really see how things are really going and how decisions are being made from those high stake moments, to really see, is this how I want to keep going forward? Is this what I want to be influenced by? And am I being pulled out of my alignment, which is what was happening with this horse and what was going on with the people around us? Or am I able to just be free of what's going on around and be me in alignment, knowing who I am, in this moment, and just relaxed, trusting that connection with Creator, trusting all the decisions that I've made to that point, and knowing that the outcome is going to be exactly what it's meant to be in the highest and best way.
So in doing so, and as we kind of approach the different moments of our lives, we get to have those energetic signatures, right? And you're going to notice that lots of us, we feel like sometimes we look for there's an energy of blame about decisions, right? When a decision isn't working to its best, people will spend 80, 90 times the energy trying to figure out who made the mistake rather than that there was a mistake, make a new decision. We pass it around from person to person. And we start to get afraid of decisions. We start to get afraid of the impact of decisions. And we can't talk about decision making without having a discussion about fear, right? Some of our decisions in our lives, how we make them, what's going on, we get afraid of how they'll be seen, get afraid of what needs to be said or how it's going to be said.
Or the loss that you have of making the decision from what you are going from to where you're going. Perhaps you've made a decision that you were going to stay in that moment with that horse and you weren't going to succumb to all these things, but perhaps the fear that you were doing something wrong came up. So those fears are real. Those things happen. That absolutely can be something that can take over your thought patterns, those worries, and then all of a sudden everything that's going forward and the decisions that you make going forward can be in a vibration of worry and fear rather than a high vibration of something that's going to keep you aligned with everything that you're going forward with, keeping you on your path of the way that you are aligned with that decision in the first place.
So if you're making a decision with a certain energy, then all of a sudden that decision starts to get thrown in other energy. Right? Don't say this was the decision, I made it, let's go forward. This is the energy I'm making it, and I trust myself. And I know there's people around that will support it and have conversations. We start moving that pressure around and handing the decision making energy of ourselves around in social circles, around business circles, and we start to move away from ourselves. And decision making is actually one of the reasons why we start to feel like we're not living our life all the time. Because we feel like decisions are outside of ourselves. We start to lose choice. We start to lose the perspective of choice, right?
Mm-hmm.
You start to feel like I have to do this. And instead of seeing that you chose to do it. Like we say this all the time. We choose to pay our taxes. And people will argue, no, you have to pay taxes. And we will say, no, we don't. We just don't want the consequences of what happens if we choose not to. So we take an energy of force and we apply it to keep us in what we would consider the right situation. And then that choice, we try to allow something that came from that force. We try to change and say, well, because I did that, I've heard a million people say, well, I pay my taxes, so I get to have a voice. You don't pay your taxes, you don't get that voice. Or voting. You didn't vote, so you don't get to talk about who this was or who that was. And we kind of start to create all these different pressures and forces about other decisions, other people's decisions, because we started to give away ours from this force, right? It's a simple choice. We live in a system that does a whole bunch of things, the countries and places, and every country we go to, we can honor because they're running a whole bunch of things that, quite frankly, we don't want to run. We don't want to run infrastructures of roads and buildings and
Dealing with water and all the things that people need within the infrastructure of running, whether it's the country or whatever it is. That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, do they do it well? Well, that's always up to interpretation. But they put themselves out there by making choices, and we have decided in our lives that that's not a choice that we wanted to be super heavily involved in. So we pay our taxes. We honor that. That's an opportunity for us to have one less stress about it. And we trust the decision-making process of other people. So if you see us we have very funny conversations. We go to different individuals that we go to for a reason. And we ask them, they'll say something like, "How are you doing today?" And we say, "You're going to tell us," because we're trusting part of our life. So we show up to the doctor, for instance,
Or the chiropractor. Yeah.
How
like,
are you today? Well,
well,
you're
you're
about to tell me, right?
got back in alignment, like, hey, no, let's adjust that thing.
It's a conscious decision that's made to allow that trust in life of what they do.
Yeah.
And when you start to allow trust, different things come on around. We've had so many wonderful people we've worked with, and some of the interactions we've had, we talked about the horses a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
We've had some phenomenal vets that have worked with the horses and helped do some amazing things with healing. And the way that the amazing things with healing had happened came because when they showed up, they're like, "You guys are into alternative healers. You guys know theta healing." They already knew who we were a little bit. Most people Google right away. And so they would say, "What would you do?" And we would say, "Well, that we're paying you. I mean, this is our downtime, right? We called you to take care of this. That's the decision that we made. So, what is your intuition? What is your thing that we've given that trust in mind?"
But sometimes, like we talk, and maybe you've heard this before, even when I go to the doctor, the doctor takes my input because that we've established that relationship. And that decision making, he just kind of puts right back onto me and goes, "Well, what would you like to do?" Because it works. It works for both of us. So whatever decision you make going forward and allowing the relationships that you have to flourish in the way that you want them to, and you don't always have to allow somebody else to make the decision for you, but if you do, then that's your decision. And that's perfectly perfect.
The point is to start to trust it, to know your signature in the moment, know the energy that you're leaving there, and then you start to know and see like the energy behind what you're doing. That's the signature you're exchanging. That is you, right? That's your presence, and that's your ability to grow. And the more often that you start to sign moments with your signature, the more you see how powerful you are as a creative energy. And that doesn't mean like you're the one who has the highest, most loud energy.
The most virtues mastered, the most everything. It's speaking of virtues, that does come into play, but that's not quite what we're talking about.
Yeah, and you show up in the energy you're exchanging, something's coming back to you, right? And you don't let it come back to you if you start looping in the decision making process. You're constantly trying to reopen a decision. You're not letting it go out and change. It would be like this item costs $10, and you give them $10, and then you go, "No, wait, give me back my $10. No, wait, take that $10. No, wait, give me back that $10. No, wait, go ahead and have that $10," right? And we get into that kind of loop sometimes with our own energy. We're going to exchange it with the universe. "No, wait, give it back. I'm ready to exchange." "No, I don't want to exchange it. Take it back." And think about how many times in energy things and healing in our life comes from just the chaos from us kind of having that vibration of, "Here it is, no, give it back. No, here it is, no, give it back. No, here it is, no, give it back." And we get very reactionary, but we get reactionary in the same sort of cycle that we're trying to create and focus on one energetic exchange. And part of the reason we have so many stories to talk about in healing and movement is because we make decisions, and then rather than go back and say, "I want to undo that decision," we move forward with the next decision. This is the energy I want to make that decision. This is the energy I want to make that decision. You start to see that people who are recognized for certain levels of success, they make decisions, right or wrong. That's debatable. And there's a lot of time in our world where that debate about their decisions has become quite valuable. We live at the only time in our world where our actions are seen to the point that once we make a decision, that decision becomes this debate. We were watching that show Limitless last night, and Chris, Chris,
Chris Hemsworth. Mhm.
he's learning to play the drums. He goes and sees Ed Sheeran,
Sheeran, he's a singer.
popular than
So it's all about this learning how to expand your brain, and so that you can help it so that you can basically stay younger is what he's doing, you know. And if you know who this actor is, he's the guy that plays Thor. And so basically he wants to have his brain be at the best capacity that he possibly can. So the doctors have told him, and the science has proved that if you learn new things, you can help your brain capacity be better. And so he goes and he tries new things that he's never done before, like learning to go play an instrument was one of his very first key things to do. So he's like, and this is right in line with talking about this, making decisions to help himself expand. So he goes to meet somebody, Ed Sheeran, and he's like a singer, if you know who he is. And he gives him all these different types of instruments that he could be playing. Well, because he's played a guitar before, he said, it's something that he shouldn't do because it wouldn't expand his brain or his capacity to use his thoughts well enough in order to really challenge him in order to for his decision making and for him to get his capacity of his brain to work. It's pretty neat. I love the science behind it. It really, and to watch him, how his dynamics really work and how he had to learn how to play it, you know, in such a like a 2 month window or a month window just to, and he was, you know, really getting going there. Like,
Yeah, so I mean, obviously it's a show, and there's different things that happen.
sure, but
And they had already kind of known each other a little bit, but they're walking outside, and uh, he puts a goal in front of him. He's going to come play at his concert. He's going to play one song
song.
on the drums at his concert that he's starting a new tour. And obviously, it works good for both of them. It works good for the show. But when he says it, he says, "Look at it like this: if you show up and you're terrible and you butcher my song, you're going to have a viral TikTok moment. And everybody who's on TikTok is going to be super happy." And then he said, "And if you show up and you do great,
You're
you're going to have a viral
TikTok.
TikTok moment and everybody's going to be happy, right?" Like the same thing is going to happen either way. It's going to go this way. It's going to be fun. Everybody's going to enjoy it. You're just worried about how you're seen, and you can't really do any wrong because both ways they're getting something good. You're just worried that you might not look the best if you mess up my song, but he's saying basically, I'm okay with it.
Like your reputation will be fine. Your decision making is going to be maybe you wonder whether or not you can do it, but you know it's good. It's good. But of course, he is great in most things he does, and each of us are. I mean, when we make our decisions are perfect.
Well,
That's the thing.
once you make the decision, like the energy and the effort that you can put into growing that direction, a lot of the programs, a lot of the beliefs that come up are things that we've learned about decisions that have failed in the past.
Of course.
And then we're trying to repeat the same thing.
Worried about failure.
And trying to respond to the same pressure. So success is not necessarily success. Success to our subconscious is how do we navigate pressure in the easiest way
and problem solve for a way that actually works through it. Great. Well, if you worked through whether it was the outcome you wanted, whether it was high vibration, low vibration, the subconscious doesn't care. It works through the problem, on to the next one.
And so within that kind of thing that's going on, we're doing this all the time. We feel the pressure of decision making. And one of the things that happens when you start, or say, intuitive anatomy, which is coming up, right?
Yep.
You look at the different systems and you start to see how the body is in alignment about how it's connecting to each moment, or the body's not in alignment to how it's connecting to each moment.
And that body is so aware of everything and the decisions that your subconscious makes that it gives you clues into everything that you're doing. And that's what I love about intuitive anatomy. It definitely breaks that down, lets you know, hey, this may not be working in your favor from all your decisions that you've been making. I think you're wearing it, basically. Like, hey, this is showing. And your body just gives you clues into things that are going on.
Yeah, each system starts to build off of each other's system and integrate. And as we see that integration, we know that this affects this, this affects this, this affects this. And we dive into why we move to those pressures. A lot of that is on an energetic level. And other times and places, this is what we knew how to do, and this is how we did it, which makes it a perfect solution. That's what you know, and you do it before it's the perfect solution. Getting a chance to dive into it and see what happens ahead of time, looking at what you want to be, and if you're lined up in yourself, your body was made for you. It's made for you to be this energetic being that you are. Can't be anybody else. You were perfect and so super unique in this world. And then when you step into and away from that and you start letting the alignment of other things come in, the body reacts.
Mm-hmm.
Energetic vessel that's carrying us says, that's not what my energy is. This is what my energy is. And we start moving and seeing all the problems that get caused from these pressures. So anytime you start to make a decision, the energy you're making behind the decision is what you're exchanging. It's that it's actually the universal currency, right? Mm-hmm. And if you're giving out love, if you're giving out joy, then those things are coming back. If you're giving out anger and frustration, then those things are coming. And there's nothing wrong actually with either. We were just had a conversation with some individuals last night that anger works very, very well as a motivator in their life to keep going. And it has since they were very young. They were very, very clear about it, determined about it, and it was a big part of their determination. That would be a different type of anger, different type of, when we sat there, we wouldn't describe their anger as like destructive in a battle and want to fight everybody. We would describe it more as they had a motive. Mm-hmm. That was the thing that made them see where they wanted to go. It was like a compass. And once they used it as a compass, the anger was not the energy that was exchanging. It's a different thing that became authentic very quickly, right? And when you start to own all these different energies of yourself, and you know, okay, this is how I use it, and this is how I use it in the highest vibration, you start to grow your connection to unconditional love with who you are, and you go up and really start to see yourself. And in all these classes, that's each step you're getting more and more aligned with. I know how to do myself in every moment, and then I know how to honor everybody else in every moment. Which means I know how to honor my decisions. I know how to make my decisions. I know how to have those things grow in time. In fact, would you guys like that download?
And that it's possible to honor your decisions. Awesome. You can recognize how truly important and special you are, knowing that every decision that you make has brought you to the place that you're meant to be without overthinking or feeling guilty for the decisions that you make. Like that, put your thumb up, nod, whatever. But yes, send them your way.
No, just if you can go up and have clear understanding of yourself and your intuition, you'll get good decisions, and they won't always make the most sense, right? Sometimes our intuition, we feel something a certain way and we start to battle against it. Mm-hmm. And when we feel something a certain way and we battle against it, we don't always, we say this at the very beginning of basic, you don't always know, ask the right question, right? Because if you go up with an intention and the energy that's being answered is the intention. If you go up and say, why do I feel this? What's going on? Versus, all right, I know there's a path that this is telling me about. There's a way forward. It's connected with. Show me. Show me how it fits. Show me how all of this comes together. Instead of saying, I don't fit, I feel like I'm out of the water, I need help, going up and saying, all right, I must know I know the value of everything around me. Why is this the energy and pressure that's part of the solution? And then we start to kind of ride with the flow of different things. And we talk about this in other times and places, instructor classes, etc. Like when we talk about abundance, so much of abundance, financial, energetic, emotional, connective self-abundance, we feel like there's a finite amount. Feel like we have to take that pressure and work so hard to have a little. And we try to tell people it's like, trying to take water in your hands, and you're gonna, if you leave your hands open and the water's running, there's a whole bunch of it. And if you close your hands, there's no water in it. So you just, it's running over, not experiencing, not able to drink it, you're not able to move with it, right? And you can work really, really hard to find a small amount of energy or resource, or you can take a look around and realize that it's kind of a limitless energy. And you can ride with that energy and create on your journey to be you, and the person next to you can do the same thing. And that's supposed to be different. It's supposed to have perspective. It's supposed to have opportunity. It's supposed to have different decisions with different outcomes. And we hear all the time, I made that decision once. Why would you make that decision? I know what happens. And the answer is for you. You know what happens for you. You don't know what happens in this energetic section of this
situation or time and place.
So we start thinking statistics, 1 out of every 100, 1 out of every 1,000. And it's not that high of a percentage, but at the same time, you're 1 out of never going to happen.
And of course, that means that when you make the decision, it's going to be never going to happen again, because it's about you. It's about you, and your connection.
People can make the same decisions and have different outcomes. We have some great information to share about that during classes.
Yeah.
We won't start getting into some of the stories now, but you can make the exact same decision in the exact same situation, but you're a different person with a different energy, you get a different outcome. Entirely different. People hear it different. People respond different. There's a reason. And that reason is the intuitive and energetic balance of a person. So a couple more downloads.
Go for it.
We download what it feels like to know your energetic alignment to yourself, trust it to the creator of all it is, and know how to honor the energetic vibration of yourself and others in every moment without feeling like you have to judge or be judged.
That you can recognize the pressures that come into your life when making decisions, that you know how to navigate them through your connection with Creator, that you can see miracles every single day. You like those? Yes. Give me some hearts, whatever it is that you like. But we are so grateful that you come to be with us today, and for all the interpreters that have found the words. We very much appreciate you. It's always lovely to connect. Yes. This has been such a great time and a great topic. And of course, just to let you know, there are instructor classes that will be going on. They are going on all the time. I believe Intuitive Anatomy is coming up. It's a really great one. We love being part of that one as any other one. So we hope to see you guys there. If you haven't taken it yet. If not, we'll see you in our next